Hey guys, welcome back to Spilling the Reality on the Hantz Show. I'm your host, Kylie, and this is my friend Lauren. She's going to be joining us again today while Trisha's on vacation. We are here to talk about everything happening in the Big Brother house. We'll hit on last night's eviction. We're going to bring you the spoilers from the HOH comp, possible nominees, everything that you need to know that's happening. So if you are not here for spoilers, you need to exit the broadcast, catch us after the episodes air. If you are watching along live, make sure you hit us with a thumbs up, drop us some comments. We'll hit on them as we go along, and let's get started. So, how are you, Lauren?
Doing well. Hoping for a little bit of a shakeup potentially that could happen in this house.
Yeah, I think we've all been waiting for something out of the ordinary to happen. Maybe there's going to be a slight chance of that. We're going to get into all that. But first, let's talk about last night's episode. So, were you surprised that Bailey went out in a unanimous eviction?
I was not surprised at all because every single eviction, the vote of the house is exactly the same. Honestly, there's only been 4 votes that have gone in opposite directions, and most of them have been hinky votes. So it's been the same week after week after week. So I was not surprised at all because no one wants to show their cards and everyone wants just to go along with the house.
Right. And we do see Bailey talking with Enzo and David because they were both campaigning to keep Bailey. And she tells them, like, hey, if I don't have the votes, go to the house because I don't want you to stick out. So Bailey gives them permission to vote, to keep Davon so that it's unanimous. But I think I would have a really hard time ever saying that because I would want to fight down until the last second of, you never know. Like, someone does throw a hinky vote and especially as it gets lower in numbers, and you've got the potential of, okay, if there's a hinky vote out there and then 2 or 3 people vote for me, like, we could end up with me staying. So I just don't think that I'm a big enough person to tell them to protect their games. Like, I would want to go down swinging till the very, very bitter end.
Oh yeah, you have to fight until the bitter end. And honestly, Enzo and David were considering wanting to keep Bailey and try and get the numbers. So if Bailey knows, hey, I got 2 people that are fighting for me for sure, why don't I go and talk to some other people and see if I can get them on my side? Oh yeah, like I think she could have fought a lot harder than she did for sure.
Yeah, and Davon even talks with Bailey and is like, stop selling yourself short. Like, you're talking about what I had to sacrifice to be here, being away from my child, but you have a life too, and you had to sacrifice things also. So, don't do this to yourself. Like, you go and you campaign. And she's saying, obviously they're not campaigning against each other. Like, hey, I'm going to throw Davon under the bus, but you go fight for it and you tell people why you deserve to be here. And Davon is actually the one that told Bailey to go squash it with Christmas. So, friendship goals.
Oh,
Day
for
and
sure.
day.
Absolutely. I mean, you even saw with Janelle and Kaser, they were
Yeah.
on the block together and they both were fighting to stay in the game. So
Right.
I think that Bailey could definitely have fought a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, she went out with 9 votes and she's back home with Swaggy.
Yeah. So did you think that it was interesting that they did not show any of Bailey's punishment?
I did
Because
find that interesting that we did not see any of that.
yeah, so I mean, I knew that obviously last night's episode was going to be heavily focused on the fight. So I guess I'm surprised that they didn't show it Wednesday. Like, when Nicole got her punishment, I'm surprised they didn't throw in Bailey's segment there too. Because, like, this girl killed her punishment.
For sure. No doubt about it.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's move into the fight heard around the world. I think that CBS actually did a really good job of condensing this explosive fight that, took up the majority of the night on Labor Day and concised it down into just a few minutes that showed it pretty accurately.
Absolutely. And honestly, terrible look for Christmas. She looked horrible in that fight.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off the way she was reacting. Why in the world can Bailey and Davon, you put them on the block, so why should they pity you?
Right, exactly. And I think it's interesting also because they did show after the nomination ceremony how Bailey went up and sold Christmas. So, I think that Bailey got the edit that she deserved because we know that coming into the season, Bailey has been on 2 previous reality shows, and both times she had an explosion. And she said it in her exit interview that she really wanted to show a different side of herself. And I think she did a really good job of that. Love her, hate her, whatever your opinion is, I think that, she's due some props for how she controlled herself.
Absolutely. And I was rooting for Bailey this season, her and Davon, just because I love the relationship that they have. And I think Bailey is a strong competitor, and I was hoping that she was going to go far. Unfortunately for her, Christmas stabbed them in the back. She thought that she could share personal with Christmas, and then Christmas used it against her and Davon to put them both on the block. Christmas didn't have a great reason really to put her on the block. So
Yeah. Yeah, we have talked about this so much in the last few episodes, where I can really see it from both sides. Like, I can see where Christmas, she is super committed because she does have that mindset of playing with Paul, of these are my people, I'm going to ride with them till the end. And she sticks true to that. Like, she doesn't really care. She doesn't like the people in her alliance. These 6 people are together, and we're going to the end. And so I can see where, okay, Bay and Day are not in my alliance, and they're an obvious duo, so I'm going to put them up. I can see where Bailey and Davon are upset about it because they do feel that they have a close relationship with Christmas. They were in the same room with her, and they kind of had like a room agreement. It wasn't an official named alliance like the committee, but to them, they thought that they were working together. So I can see from their standpoint where they're upset. And they were also really, really counting on Tyler going up on the block. And so I think just being blindsided by that, it's completely understandable that they don't want to talk to this girl. So for her to be getting her feelings hurt because they don't want to talk to you, like, I wouldn't talk to you either. What do you expect from them?
And that's what Christmas has to realize. She's the one that put them on the block. If someone nominated me, I'm going to be upset by it. I'm not going to just sit there and say, oh, I forgive you. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm fine with potentially going home. No, that is not how it works in Big Brother. People are going to be upset when you nominate them. At the same time, Christmas thought that this was the best move for her game, so she went ahead and did it. The only thing I will say about Tyler, though, is I think Tyler should have told Bay and Day ahead of time that Christmas was not going to use the veto.
Yeah. My dog's barking, y'all. Y'all are going to just have to ignore him. I don't know. He's going crazy. Okay. So anyways, yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is that they were really, really hurt when Tyler did not go up on the block, because they went into that veto ceremony absolutely thinking that's what was going to happen. But in terms of the editing, I think that Big Brother did a great job of showing it pretty accurately. They hit on all the highlights of the fight. What I thought was really interesting is like seeing the 3 people that were observing it. Like, you have Kevin, who's trying to diffuse the situation, like, hey, maybe you should go up to the HOH room, and Christmas popping off on him, no, this is my house. I can do what the F I want to do. And then you've got Enzo sipping his tea. I thought he was pretty entertaining. And then you've got Danny, who is just a silent observer. So who would you have been in that situation?
Oh, I would have just been Danny, just chilling there and just like, what the heck is going on? Yeah. I honestly, she's like, I guess I'm just going to sit here and just not say anything and just chill. I will say, though, Ian in the shower.
So funny.
That was hilarious. He's like, ooh, poor timing for asking for a towel. And he's just awkwardly standing in there during this
he just had to stand there the whole time. So funny. No, I think I would have probably been Enzo in the background, like, looking like Kermit the Frog, sipping my tea. And so really entertaining. no matter whose side you fall on in the confrontation, it's good to see a little bit of explosive television. We talked about it yesterday with Russell that it did make. They both apologized to Christmas. Christmas apologized to them, so they squashed it. So good for them for being bigger people. And so that brings us to Classy Bay and Day. We had talked about that they had both planned to just blow up in their eviction speech and drag Christmas. They both decided to go another route and give, pretty classy speeches as especially, Bailey's exiting the house. And so I thought that was mature of them, not necessarily the fun television I want to see. So
Yeah, you definitely want fun television, but at the same time, what they had to say about each other was so sweet. So
yeah.
I liked it a lot. I liked hearing the kind words that they had to say about each other. And they just were so classy with the rest of the house guests and just saying, like, love you guys. Bailey went out really, really well. And sad to see her go.
Yeah, I agree. So, anyways, that'll sum it up from the episode. We do get, the very beginning of the HOH comp, and they were all predicting it is a. Oh, no, wait. One more thing about the episode. Let's talk about Julie Chen Moonvez's fixation on the committee. Like, I was, every eviction so far, she has tied it into Memphis. Like, Memphis is the mastermind. He is the one that is running this house. And I was wondering how she was going to bring it back to Memphis this week. And she did in a roundabout way. Like, hey, do you know why Christmas was not willing to put up Tyler? Because Tyler is her ride or die. And they're a part of a 6-person alliance, the committee. Like, I need to throw Memphis's name out there for y'all because Julie Chen Moonves is a fan.
Memphis is not even relevant on this season. He's barely shown in the episodes, and I just feel like he's just there. I don't see him really talking strategy with people that much, and he is not someone that I'm interested in seeing stay in the house that much longer, personally.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me like 3 days ago, I would have said that I kind of liked Memphis's position in the house. He did manage to fade into the background after his HOH, but with the stuff with Ian coming to light and the comments that he's made, I'm over him and he can just go on and leave. So,
yeah, absolutely. He needs to walk out the front door.
Yeah. So that brings us to the wall comp. We got to see the very beginning of it at the end of the episode, and then it carried over into the feeds. Like, y'all, I miss the days of seeing these hours-long competitions play out. I think last night's HOH was about an hour and 45 minutes from start to finish. So shortly after it goes to the feeds, we get this picture. Let me pop it up for y'all. And like, I had been just hoping for a shake this week. Like, please let my girl Day win a competition. And so we come back from the feeds being down and they show the wall. And right there between Kevin and Tyler is an empty spot where Davon should have been. So, womp, womp, womp. If any of y'all were hoping for Davon to, really flip the house on its head, that's not going to happen. She was the first one out. She literally only made it like 5 or 6 minutes. I mean, she fell shortly after the episode went off the air. So, what are your thoughts on Day going out first?
Well, me personally, I think if she's going into that competition and saying, I have no way to win this, her falling first is best for her game because she knows that she probably is not going to be a target. She can go under the radar a little bit and people aren't going to see her as a threat in competitions. So that might have been the best thing that she could have done, because if she would have stayed up a lot longer and say finished in second or third, then people are like, boom, Davon, target.
Yeah, I think that this was absolutely the best thing she could have done. Like, if you're not going to win it, you need to be the first one out. Show them I suck at these competitions. Like, my neck was on the line. I was the first one out of the veto comp. I was the first one out of the wall comp. I don't have any friends in this house. Like, completely make yourself as non-threatening as possible, especially whenever she does have the spotlight on her last week with their fight with Christmas. So I think that this is Davon's best move. Shortly after Davon, we do see David also fall. So poor little David. Aiden, our friend Aiden, is not in the chat yet. He is David's biggest stan, and Lauren, he has said that he's calling it David is winning this season, and that if David does not, if any of the other 10 people remaining in the house wins, he will dye his hair pink. Would you be willing to bet your hair color on a David win?
Absolutely not. If David wins this season, that will be the most shocking win in Big Brother history. I'm just saying, because there's no way he would be someone I would drag to the end. What votes would he get? Honestly.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any way David wins this season, but it's 2020, so crazier things have happened.
Very, very true.
So when the competition starts, we see that the first 3 out are going to be have-nots, and I'm thinking, go on and put Memphis up in the have-not room, because Grandpa, with his back problems, is not going to be able to make it. But shocker, he manages to hang on longer than 3rd place, and we see Ian drop 3rd. Which I'm super disappointed, because outside of Davon, Ian is probably the one that I wanted to win the most, because I feel like, he's not in the alliance, and I think that he would make a really good strategic move. So very, very disappointed to see Ian drop 3rd.
Yeah, and Ian, I would have definitely switched up with the whole dynamic that was going on in the house. He could have had so many different types of nominations that he could have done. It would have been great to see all the people scrambling.
Yeah. And then right after Ian drops, Memphis is like, is that 3? Like, are those the have-nots? And everybody says, yeah, and Memphis drops. And he said that he was thinking to himself, like, would I rather hang up here on this wall, or would I rather have to get on the ground and crawl under the have-not door all week? So he decides it's worse to crawl under the have-not door, so he held on for 4th place. Interesting strategy there. I really didn't think he would be able to make it as the way that he's been playing up his back injury. So we do see when Memphis and David get off of the wall comp, like, their hands are bleeding. They had like the rock wall grips, and so I think that it actually really tore up some of their hands. So,
I mean, that's a game you got to fight to win these competitions, and sometimes it's painful.
Right. So, that could be something also that later, if they've got blisters and stuff, that could affect some things depending on what kind of comps there are. So that'll be interesting. As the comp goes on, after Memphis drop, I think
Enzo was next.
Yeah, Enzo goes out next.
Then Kevin.
And then Kevin, which Enzo, they were all giving him a hard time, because during this wall comp, he had on some elbow pads, y'all. he was ready. I think that he might have thought it was going to be the slip and slide. He was trying to protect the elbows, and so they were giving him, ragging on him for wearing his elbow pads in the wall comp. Enzo just cracks me up. Everything that he says is so funny, yo. And then, okay, so Kevin, Enzo, they're all out. That brings us down to all members of the committee.
Yep. You got Tyler, Nicole, Cody, and Danny.
Yep, so shocker, guys. It's not going to be a mix-up this week. We've only seen one HOH outside of the committee. That was Enzo's. This week it's not going to be different, because we do have the final 4 being committee members. Shortly after Kevin drops, we see Tyler fall. They do speculate if Tyler threw it. We've seen him be really strong in wall comps before. I don't know. I don't know if that would have been Tyler's best move, but Tyler drops. We're left with Danny, Nicole, and Cody. Like, worst 3 combination that you could want. Nicole drops, left with Cody and Danny, and right after Nicole drops, Cody drops. So
basically
Danny,
directly after.
yeah, like bam, bam.
Yep.
Danny is your new HOH. Which I do think is a little bit interesting. We've talked about Danny this past week and that she does want to kind of make a big move. So she kind of has her eye on Tyler. We've seen her doing the work, trying to paint Tyler as sketchy. We know Tyler's doing the same with Danny. So I think that we could see the implosion of the committee this week.
And from past seasons, Danny's not someone that's afraid to shake it up. And I know she said coming in, she doesn't want to do that. But every time she's in the game, she makes these weird moves, and then it kind of puts her in a corner later on. So we'll see if she goes back to past history here or she lays low.
Yeah, I think that of the committee members, Danny is definitely the most interesting one to win HOH because she's not afraid to make the big move, and we know that she wants to target Tyler. So, as the HOH comp comes to an end, we get them going back inside and we start getting a little bit of game talk, and we get Danny talking about her potential nominees. And she says that she plans to nominate David and Kevin. And she feels bad because she told Kevin to his face, like, I'm not going to nominate you. And she feels bad that she's lying to him. She doesn't say who her target is, but that's who she plans to nominate. But guys, this is interesting, and we're going to talk about all of these powers that are out there. We know David has the power to change a nomination. We know that Christmas has the power to block a renom, and we know that Danny has the power to play in the HOH again. So, y'all, finally, something good might happen in Big Brother 22 this week. So, with Danny having Kevin and David in her sights as her nominees, we can assume David is going to use his power.
We can assume.
I mean, but it is David, y'all.
That is David. So when we say assume, I could just see him messing. He's messed up so much, he might even screw this one up.
Yeah.
You just never know. Because he might think, oh, maybe I'm not the target this week, and I'll save it again for next week if I get nominated.
Right. Which, I mean, we're giving him a hard time, but we see this happen in Survivor where people don't play their idol because they don't think they're the ones going out. So this is kind of that same situation. Presumably, David is going to play his power. So Danny's going to have to immediately name a third nominee. So she's going to be getting a little bit of blood on her hands. And I think it's interesting, to potentially think about who she's going to have to nominate as her third person. So who do you think she might throw up there in David's place?
She could take her shot at Tyler, but then you have to look at what Christmas's power is.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think in Danny's mind, I don't think she's going to throw Tyler up there and give him the opportunity to play in the veto. I think she'll definitely want to backdoor him. So I'm thinking, okay, she's probably going to throw Ian up there.
She could throw Ian up there, yeah.
Yeah, so I think going into the veto comp that the nominees are likely to be Ian and Kevin. And that is where it gets interesting. Like you were saying, Christmas has the comp where she can block a renom. So let's say whoever wins the veto decides to use it and pull Ian or Kevin off of the block. And Danny's like, this is it. I'm taking my shot. And she goes after Tyler. We have the possibility that Christmas is going to use her power and block Tyler from being backdoored. Y'all, finally, something interesting. I cannot wait. Just the potential of it gets me so excited.
And then from there, what is she going to do? She might have to throw Dave on up there.
Yeah, and she has a conversation with Dave and is like, I am not targeting you. I am not nominating you. You are good with me this week. So we're looking at the distinct possibility that Danny could have to name 5 nominees this week, y'all. Holy crap. I don't know if anybody outside of Cody Nixon has had to name that many nominees. And his was in the very first week of the game. So, this could be so interesting. And I think, Danny has already said, like, she doesn't know if she's going to use her power because she thinks that the next HOH will be questions and she's not good at them. Like, girl, if you got to nominate 5 of the remaining 11 people, you being one of them, you will have to nominate half of the people that are eligible to be nominated. You better be using your power too.
Oh, yeah. Well, she doesn't know what other powers people have, so
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
she
so it's
finds
going to be a
out and then she actually has
shocker.
to nominate all those people, oh, she's going to be in a tough spot. I hope this is the way it goes down completely, because this would create so much drama in the house. And then Danny's going to be like, are you kidding me? I'm in
Yeah.
a tough spot for another season.
Right. I think if I was in Danny's shoes and I tried to backdoor Tyler and Christmas uses that power, I would throw Christmas's ass up there. Like, even if she doesn't know that Christmas is the one that did it, I would throw Christmas up there. Like, you take the shot at your alliance, then you better take another shot. Like, because it's done, and anybody that is super close to Tyler is going to come after you, so you better throw Christmas up there as your 5th nominee.
Well, that would be a strong move for her to do that, because then you're taking one of those two out because you know they're a tight pair.
Yeah.
And then Danny now has Davon working with her and Nicole, and she's still got Cody kind of there. He's a little skeptical of her, but I think they'll work through that.
Yeah. So we have this comment here from Kirk Royce, and he says, Danny doesn't have the numbers to get rid of Tyler. What are your thoughts there? Because I think she does.
I think she does. I think she would too. And that's
there's 11 people left in the house. Take out your HOH and your 2 nominees. There'll be 8 people voting this week. So she only needs 4 to make it a tie. Nicole's going to vote her way. Davon is going to vote her way. I think you would see probably, oh gosh, but then you got to count on David. And, David. I think Enzo would see the, see that it's a smart move. And I think Cody would go with the 2 girls because I think that's who he's closest to. So I really think that.
I think Memphis would vote that way too.
Yeah, and then you've got Kevin or Ian, depending on who's on the block. Yeah, I think that if she takes the swing at a back door, I think that the numbers are there.
I think the numbers are there too.
Yeah. So there's some potential here, guys. Like, I hate to get my hopes up because it's been so disappointing, but I think it's going to happen. So
I would just love her to just mix it up now and just throw Tyler and Christmas up. But
that would be great. That would be great. But I really, really doubt that she's going to do that.
It's not going to happen, but you can be hopeful of things sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think it would be in her best interest to do that. Obviously, as a viewer, I just want chaos. Like, I don't want these people to be loyal to each other. I want them to backstab each other and just make it super fun and interesting. But that's just not the way that they play. And, it gets them far, so you can't exactly fault that. Let's talk a little bit about Ian. So Ian's playing a really interesting game.
Yeah, he's been playing a super under the radar game. He hasn't been relevant in competitions. He's kind of just laying low. So I'm waiting for Ian to speed up his game a little bit because I think he really needs to do so in order to start making some moves in this house. I was really hoping he was going to come out on top in this HOH competition. But I think next week, if he's still in the game and he wins, that's going to be great.
Yeah. He does say, like, in his intro package that he wants to lay low, but like, seeing his disappointment in his performance last night in the HOH comp, like, I'm wondering if he's like, okay, I was trying to lay low, but now, it's been BB14, it's been 8 years since I played Big Brother. Like, maybe he's just not as athletic as he was back then because he was, like, surprisingly a comp beast. So I don't know if it's still strategy, if he's still laying low, or if he's just not as good at the comps as he thought he was. But I've been worried for a while about Ian and that he's laying too low and that he's kind of letting the game get away from him. But with the possibility of this week being a shakeup, I do think that now is the time for a lot of new things to form. It's going to
Yeah, and
be.
especially with jury starting now, I think once people hear jury, they're like, all right, I got to start playing, because if they just keep just hanging out, not making any moves, not doing anything, they're not going to get votes if they make it to the end.
Yeah. So we're getting lots of comments about Christmas and Danny and Tyler. I like this one. Dawn Haywood says, Christmas will save Tyler. She's a very one dimensional player. I think this is really, really accurate. Like, it would be smart for Christmas to hold on to it because she is on people's radar, but I think she's too, like, rah rah team. We've got to stick together. So I think that she'll use it if Tyler is the renom.
Yeah, once she gets her ride or die and has her
Yeah.
people, she doesn't turn her back on those people. But if I was in that position and I'm not sitting up on the block, heck no, I'm saving it for myself because I know I have one more week to use it.
Yeah. Okay, here's our friend Pink Hair Aiden. He does say that all of this chaos is because of David using his power. And that is true. Like, y'all, David is going to be the impact player of the week because when he uses his power, it is going to cause a little bit of ruckus.
But we can come back to this conversation if he does in fact not use the power, because I'm not 100%. You would hope, but we have seen David's gameplay and I'm a little worried that he could screw this up somehow.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what other comments there are. Y'all send us your thoughts. We'll pop them up here. Let's see. Danny needs to win next week, HOH, to vote out Tyler. Like, I just think that I think it could happen this week. Dawn also says, I kind of hope that they never do another All-Star season. Yeah, guys, like, I think this is probably it from Big Brother. They had said for the longest time that they would never do another All-Star season anyways because of how the first All-Stars acted. Like, we know that our boy James and Dr. Will and Daniel Reyes and Chicken George broke out of sequester and left the jury house, went and got drunk in a bar, sang some karaoke. Like, they did not want people that knew everything about how the games run. And then just seeing this season, and at least like the first All Stars, we got incredible gameplay. Like, they might have been a little bad, like in, production having to tame them, but they played the hell out of the game. And I just think it's so interesting how different it is with Big Brother and Survivor. Like, when second chance is probably aside, but when you see Survivor all returner season, they're so freaking epic. Like, this past season of Winners at War and Heroes versus Villains, like, Survivor brings it on all returner seasons. And so I do not know why, this is only the second time that they've had all returners in the Big Brother house, and it's so awful.
I think people were so excited for this season, and then as the season has progressed,
Yeah.
I honestly, me personally, I would rank this season super, super low in my rankings. I mean, it's been that bad. It's so predictable, which is boring. There's not two sides going at each other, and I'm bored.
Yeah.
Something needs to shake up this season to bring some excitement. I want to see some gameplay. I want to see some backdoors. I want to not see everyone voting with the house. I just want it shooken up.
Pink Hair Aiden says that Second Chances was great. So I don't think Second Chances was great, but it obviously gave us a great winner in Sarah Lucina, who, like, just catapulted herself into the upper tier for me in Winners at War. So, it gave us a good winner on not a great season. I didn't like Second Chances. Y'all got any other questions? I mean, that pretty much sums up what we got from the live feeds. Right, Sarah won Game Changers, and Sarah Lucina is a fantastic winner and a fantastic Survivor player. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I've been saying this all wrong all along. Sarah won Game Changers. I was thinking of Game Changers not being good. Second Chances was a good.
Second Chances was a really good season.
Yeah, I stand corrected. Too many.
The fans voted them in. What would have been interesting, and I know they couldn't do it because of COVID. That's what I liked about the first All Stars of Big Brother is the fans got to vote for who they wanted to be on the season. I think if they could have had a group of people put together and the fans could have voted them in, it would have been a better season than what it is right now.
Right. And I mean, I know that they had to throw this together because of COVID, but I just feel like, if you cannot get those players like, Rachel Riley wants to play so badly again, and, not being able to have Rachel because she's pregnant, like that really hurts. And even Jessica Nixon, she would have been a good one. She's also pregnant. I feel like some of those really good female players that we could have had, and then, we do get, sorry y'all, but we get Christmas and people like that just aren't as deserving as some of the others.
Because I know Amber was in the talks from BB16 to be on the season. Yeah. I would have preferred her over Christmas 100%.
Right. Like, I feel like Christmas would have been better suited for a Second Chances type show. And same with David. Like, I think if you take those two out and replace them with two more interesting people, it could have been fun. So.
And I was hopeful for this season as well to have some more winners on it because we only have the two.
Yeah. I mean, you throw Josh Martinez in there. Same thing. Josh is super polarizing. Like, you kind of either love him or hate him. And no matter what your opinion is of him, the kid is super entertaining on your television screen. Like, he's done now 3 or 4 seasons of the challenge, and I had already decided, like, I am drafting Josh Martinez on my Big Brother team because I don't know how, but this dude gets on these shows and he lasts. And so I was like, I'm picking Josh, and then he gets cut because of COVID. So, I think just having more personality, like, that's what it's really, really lacking.
Yeah, and Hayden is someone that I was in the talks a little bit. I was hoping he was going to be on the season because
same.
I think he could have brought a lot of energy and could have been really good, especially being an old school type of player.
Yeah. Yep. Ed says, I don't like Josh as a player. I mean, I don't really like Josh as a player, but
he makes the house exciting.
He makes things exciting, Mm-hmm. Josh is the reason I couldn't watch BB19, not going to lie. Like, I could not watch BB19 because of Paul. And I think as much as I disliked Paul on BB19, I think Paul deserved to be in the house. Like, I think he is a true all-star. Same thing. Love him or hate him, I think he deserved to be there. Let's see. After the last couple seasons of the challenge... Y'all, my eyes are so bad. Like, I've really got to pop these up here so they're bigger. Excuse me, like getting super close to the computer. Kind of glad Josh and Casey didn't make it through. I'm exhausted. Y'all, like, I think Casey's a really good competitor, but she's so boring. Like, I don't care
Casey to see Casey again. The challenge is made for Casey.
Right.
Casey
she can just go on.
With the challenge.
Beast it out in comps, but was boring. They should have brought Paul. Yeah, I agree. Cody Nixon was my fave on BB19. Okay, yeah, I mean, I would have freaking loved to see Cody. Like, he has that don't give a shit attitude that I think would have been good for this house.
Well, and see, that's why I get excited about Keisha, because I thought she was going to bring the fire like she did in BB10, and I was so disappointed. And that's the thing. You want these fiery characters to come on the show to bring the excitement. And honestly, some of these episodes, it's like watching paint dry. I just need the excitement.
Right. Like, I am just I literally do not care anymore who wins this season. Like, all of my favorite people are out. Maybe like slightly pulling for Davon, but TBH, like, I really don't care who wins. I just want it to be entertaining. Like, whoever makes the show most entertaining is who I want to win. So
if Davon can get to the end and win this season, honestly, the position that she's in, I think it would be a miracle. If she can do it, she has a lot of people rooting for her, including myself. So
Ed also It also says Vanessa Russo. Yes, like we
Yeah.
needed Vanessa, but same thing. Like she just had twin babies, and her wife also had a baby, so they've got like 3 little ones at home. So no way Vanessa could come. Like I feel like we missed those epic female players. That is what this is lacking. What other
I
comments?
agree.
Oh my gosh, y'all, my eyes are so bad. Besides Enzo, I gotta pop them up here so I can even read them. Besides Enzo's, the cast is like watching paint dry. Yeah, Enzo
Yeah.
and Dave Vaughn
Yeah.
and Bailey, like they have all the personality. Rachel, Paul, Josh, and Janelle are all great players, but I'm voting all of them out first chance. Sure. I mean, that's kind of like letting Parv or Boston Rob get far in Winners at War. Like, as disappointed as I was to have them go out early, it makes sense. Like, I freaking love Parvati. Like, I was devastated when she got voted out of Winners at War, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to get rid of her whenever I can.
Yep, you got to take your shot at the biggest threats.
Yeah, so cheering for Enzo. Big Johnny Mac fan. Yes, Johnny Mac would have been so fun. Like, I think we're just seriously lacking personality.
Yep.
That's the biggest problem. And the fact that they won't make a move. So we needed personality, people that aren't scared to make a move, but this is what we got, guys.
So we'll see. Maybe Danny will shake something up. She likes to do it, but she said that she didn't want to do that this time because she's trying not to do what she did the past seasons. However, when she gets in that position, she gets like a little antsy. I'm hoping she does something crazy.
Yeah, me too. So something happened to all of my little things over here. But anyways, we're going to go into our tweet of the day. And guys, it was slim pickings out there, but we do get a really good tweet from whoever is running David Alexander's account on the outside. We've talked about it before that they are super funny. They're not afraid to, crack on David a little bit. And they, at Dave J. Alex says, for what it's worth, David lasted about an hour in the hashtag BB22 HOH competition, and he still has his 187 IQ. We are somewhat proud. And I know that y'all can't see all of that because this banner won't go off, but I'll also tweet it out so y'all can catch it. But I think that's super funny. Like, go David.
Can we have the person running the Twitter account in the house?
Right, exactly. Replace David with his Twitter account runner.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, if y'all don't have any other questions, I think that'll sum us up for today. Trisha will be out until Monday, so Lauren's going to be join me again tomorrow. Lauren, where can people find you on social media?
They can find me on Twitter at Lauren_Pratt6. And then Instagram, I am just Pratt6. So super simple, super easy.
Okay. And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at RealiTEA_TRHS. That's RealiTEA_TRHS. Make sure that you give us a thumbs up. Drop a comment on the video, guys. Like, that helps it reach more people. So if you enjoy visiting with us every day, that would be super helpful. Make sure you subscribe so that you get those notifications every time we go live. And we will see y'all tomorrow. Bye, guys.